Kia ora. When someone dies, even if it is expected, it can be overwhelming. Depending on the context or place where it happens and the wishes of the deceased, there will be some differences in how you need to respond. In this kiriata, we'll share some kōrero about first steps to take after someone passes, some general tikanga for a tūpapaku, and some logistics and legal requirements. These details are also available in our free downloadable resource on our website. A reminder, we are not experts in this matter. This kōrero will be incomplete and imperfect, and we encourage further research and kōrero with your loved ones. Let's kōrero about tikanga and kawa. Tikanga are general customs and practices usually based on values and practicality. Tikanga underpins much of why we do what we do in Te Ao Māori. It is a means of keeping everybody safe, both physically and spiritually. There can be a range of actions taken which align with tikanga. Refer to our website for more information about how we approach tikanga and kawa differently. We're sharing some general tikanga for tūpapaku. Not everybody will adhere to these, but you may want to take them into consideration when you are spending time with tūpapaku. Tūpapaku should not be left on their own. This is because the wairua of a person stays near their body until they have been laid to rest. Tūpapaku are tapu and should never be in contact or proximity with food, which is noa, or spaces where food is prepared, stored or consumed. Karakia whakawātia or clearing karakia should be done in any room or area where tūpapaku have been. The space should not be physically cleaned until after this karakia is done. Tūpapaku are generally carried feet first in and out of spaces. After exiting the space that a tūpapaku is laying in, sprinkle yourself with water to whakanoa or remove the tapu before you enter another space or do other things. After the tangihanga process is over and the tūpapaku has been laid to rest, takahe whare is carried out in the house of the deceased to make it noa before it can be resided in again. What should you do immediately after someone dies? If the death was expected, like from old age or illness, you can follow this process. Firstly, take a pause. If it's not an emergency, take some time to just be with them. You may like to perform karakia, prayer, another ceremony, or simply sit with them. Note the time of death. Call their doctor or medical professional to confirm and document the cause of death. This could wait until morning if the person died overnight. You can start to gently cool the tūpapaku by using a fan or air conditioning. You may want to begin letting whānau or loved ones know. If you are using a funeral director, you can call them when you're ready. If the death was a medical event, unexpected or suspicious, you must firstly call the police and an ambulance. Unless you have attempted to administer first aid, try not to move or disturb the tūpapaku. It is likely the tūpapaku will be transferred to the local hospital for the coroner to determine the cause of death. They'll keep whānau informed of when their loved one will be released back to them. You may like to perform karakia, prayer, another ceremony, or simply sit with them. If you're working with a funeral director, you can also contact them. Who should you contact? As I mentioned before, if the death is expected, you will need to contact a medical professional, and if it is unexpected, you'll contact the police and ambulance. Professional support at this time may be helpful. Be clear about your expectations and boundaries. Funeral directors aren't a legal requirement, but they can make things a lot easier. Their work may include transferring the tūpapaku between locations, preparing them for viewings by loved ones, assisting with legal documentation, organising burial or cremation disposition, and assisting with organising the tangihanga or funeral. Funeral guides, end-of-life doulas, and other professionals can provide support for you and your whānau to manage the process yourselves. Their work may include things like guidance around caring for the tūpapaku at home and advice for compliance with legal and administrative requirements. Let's talk about some legal documents and forms. If you've engaged a funeral director, they will assist you to complete the legal documents required. If you are managing the tangihanga or funeral journey as a whānau, the following forms will need to be received or completed. Medical certificate of cause of death needs to be completed by a medical practitioner or nurse practitioner, or if the tūpapaku is with the coroner. Coroner's authorisation of release of body will be completed by the coroner. Transfer of charge of body is completed when the tūpapaku is transferred from the place of death into the care of the person in charge of the body. This form must stay with the body and be updated every time it is moved from one location to another. Application for interment is completed to purchase a burial or ashes plot and/or burial or ashes disposition. Application for cremation is completed for cremation disposition by the deceased's executor. Notification of deaths for registration is completed within 3 working days of burial, cremation, repatriation, or disposition to register the death with birth, deaths, and marriages at the Department of Internal Affairs by the deceased's executor. What do you know about embalming? Embalming is a process that chemically preserves and sanitizes human remains to slow down decomposition. Without embalming, the body starts to decompose faster as bacteria breaks down the soft tissue. Embalming is not a legal requirement, and it is also something that many whānau will choose for a range of reasons. There is no right or wrong choice. Every situation is different, and whānau should choose what is right for them. Embalming may be best if the tūpapaku will be in an open casket, especially for more than 3 days, if the tangi or funeral will be delayed from the time of death, if the tūpapaku is being repatriated, if the tūpapaku is being donated to a medical school. The time that the embalming process takes can range from a few hours to a few days, depending on the state of the body and cause of death. Let's look at preparing and caring for the tūpapaku. Some whānau may choose to wash the tūpapaku before it is released to the care of a funeral director, which can be a healing experience. If whānau are not engaging a funeral director and/or are not embalming the tūpapaku, there are several factors to consider. Having a collective whānau commitment due to the extra mahi and care required before and during the tangihanga. Having a plan of how to care for the tūpapaku and who is responsible for the care. There are a range of resources and wānanga available that detail how to prepare, maintain, move, and cool the tūpapaku. Thinking about options for transport is important. When transporting the tūpapaku, you don't have to use funeral directors. You can transport the body yourself. It doesn't have to be in a hearse, but the tūpapaku must be contained in a casket, shroud, or equivalent. The BDM 39 form must travel with the tūpapaku to each different location. If you are using professionals like funeral directors, be aware that there's a cost every time the tūpapaku is moved to another location. Discuss the options for accompanying the tūpapaku in the hearse. Let's consider some logistics around venues. If you're working with a funeral director or other professional, get in touch with them as soon as possible so they can assist and guide you through the process of organising and coordinating venues. Contact the venue where the tangi and/or the service will be held to arrange dates and times within their availability. Decide on the length of time as soon as possible. Tangi are often held for a period of 3 days, but this is not a set rule or expectation. Take into consideration the time of passing, embalming, days and times available for burial or cremation, religious services, location of the tūpapaku and venue, the state of the tūpapaku, and any whānau who might be travelling a long distance. Organise where the tūpapaku will go before the service happens. Will they lie at someone's house? At a funeral home? At the marae? Would you like to decide on times for people to visit the tūpapaku? On a marae, this might include deciding and communicating times for pōwhiri each day. You may also be happy for people to arrive as or when they are able. Have a think about delegating roles. Reading the person's will and funeral or tangihanga plan is essential. It will help you to figure out what needs to happen. It may be helpful to write a few checklists to keep track of tasks that need to be completed over the coming days. Many whānau will nominate someone to oversee the entire tangi process. This person is responsible for making sure communications between the whānau and all others are clear, concise, and consistent, which can help to reduce the mental and emotional load on the whānau at an already tough time. This may be a trusted whānau member or community member, but would not ordinarily be someone from the immediate whānau, as they should be free to grieve rather than organising logistics. If you are not using a funeral director, you could ask within your whānau or hapori for people who may be able to bring the expertise to support. This might be for things like floral arrangements, service sheet design, or making kai. In accordance with tikanga, often the mātāmua or tuakana, the eldest child, will take the reins for decision-making, or kaumātua within the whānau or hapori will do so. There ideally should be some kind of consensus within the whānau about arrangements if there is no will or wishes expressed by the loved one. The executor of the deceased's will has the legal responsibility and final say for carrying out the person's last wishes, including funeral arrangements. Check out our other kiriata and resources for further kōrero on supporting kiremate. We hope that the kōrero we've shared here has helped you to understand more about some of the immediate steps and processes you might take when someone dies. We encourage you to share these videos and resources with whānau and friends to help us all normalise these important kōrero. Tēnā rā koutou I te mātakitaki mai. Disclaimer. How To Tangi resources are intended as a starting point for further research and discussion with your whānau and community about death, dying and tangihanga or funerals, not as a complete guide. The information in this resource is current as at April 2025 and accurate to the best of our knowledge. Reo Māori Mai assumes no responsibility or liability for actions taken based on any of our How To Tangi content or of any other sources linked in this content. For more information and to see other How To Tangi resources, visit www.reomāorimai.co.nz/pages/How To Tangi. We would like to thank everybody who has been involved in the creation of these resources, especially to our funders. Tēnā koutou katoa.